Hey everybody, thank you for joining us once again for our E3 coverage here at Polygon.com. I am Griffin McElroy. Joining me is Justin McElroy, my brother, my colleague, my friend.
Hello, Internet.
Whoa, feeling a little zesty for this one. Let's have fun with this one. What do you say?
Let's just get loose.
Joining us is John Harden, the PR manager for Atlas, to tell us a little bit about Persona 4 Dancing All Night. John, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. I'm also joining you in getting loose. So
all right,
good.
I love it. It's day 2. We're in a groove.
You're a little drunk. It's like 2 p.m. there, but that's fine. We're not here to judge.
It's 2:45.
Oh well, that's totally fine then.
Totally fine.
I am excited for Persona 4 Dancing All Night, which at first blush, when it was first announced among a slew of Persona games, including Persona 5.
Yes.
I thought that it was going to be sort of not so high on my hype list, but now that I've finally actually seen it being played and seen some of my beloved characters from Persona 4, which is one of my favorite games, I want to talk to you about some of this stuff other than the dancing in Persona 4,
Yes.
Dancing All Night. What are we looking at in terms of like familiar Persona mechanics? Is there anything sort of along the lines of Social Link or any sort of familiar stuff, or is it mainly just dancing at bad guys?
The dancing stuff is the bulk of the game. You know, you're gonna be dancing. There's a story mode a lot of people weren't aware of. It's very similar to the way our fighting games P4A and P4AU have played out. So kind of visual novelty with the voice acting stories where you see, you know, obviously the story unfold, which sadly we can't get into too much of since the game is not even out yet in Japan yet. And we don't want to spoil the story for anyone, of course. But,
Sure.
Yeah, there is a fairly robust story mode, 6 to 10-ish hours, I believe. So yeah, there's a lot to wade through. In terms of actual Persona mechanics, you'll see the Personas again. They'll show up at the end of your battle. If you do really well in the dance portion, they'll show up and kind of like obliterate all the shadows that have gathered to watch you dance, which is awesome to see. We just haven't seen that many rhythm games recently, so I'm super stoked that we've got another rhythm game.
Especially not in this style, right? When you talk about dance games now, you're talking about Dance Central, you're talking about Just Dance. I'm actually kind of excited to see a rhythm game that you play with a controller, and we're seeing some more of that with the Amplitude remake and stuff like that. I'm curious to hear about like why go in that direction instead of a motion control direction, which seems like the norm, and also why this game is going on Vita instead of home platform.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the impetus was to keep it off of consoles, although it is PS TV compatible. So we're capturing through the PS TV, which is awesome. But yeah, it's primarily a handheld title. I'm not sure. It just kind of fits with it, you know. Of course, it's a Japanese base, or it was developed in Japan, so you imagine a bunch of people grooving out to the awesome Persona remixes on a train. Makes total sense. America, where we don't have as much transport, or public transport, or at least public transport's not as widespread, you're going to have, to find some different times for it. But in bed late at night, on flights, hopefully we'll see lots of this game in the airports. That's my hope and dream, but we'll see.
How many spin-offs has Persona 4 had? Obviously, there was Persona 4 Golden on the Vita, but then there were there were 2 fighting games, a dancing game, and Persona Q.
Ultimax, Arena, and Persona Q. And this is our 5th Persona spin-off.
What is it about Persona 4 that has enabled this many spin-offs more than Persona 3 or any other game in the franchise ever has?
I think Persona 4, more than any of the other Persona games, the characters just really clicked with a really broad audience. Everyone, like Griffin was saying earlier, everyone was talking about, Justin was saying earlier, everyone was talking about, they all have their favorite, be it Chie, be it Rise, be it Naoto, Yukiko, whoever, Shadow Kanji. I think just people have just found someone they can identify with in Persona 4 more so than Persona 3. Although we do still have a very vocal and very ardent Persona 3 following. I think just those Persona 4 characters, their actual artistic design, the voice direction in English and everything just really resonated more so. And Teddie, who's the most lovable mascot of all time.
Well, we'll agree to disagree. Some of us have mixed feelings about Mr. Teddie, but I respect your opinion, certainly.
We haven't reached a broad consensus about that yet. How does Atlas make the decision? This is like, you could make the argument already that the Persona games are sort of more of a niche title, I think is fair to say.
Yeah.
Persona 4 Dancing All Night is like a niche of a niche. Like, how do you make the decision to bring that stateside? Like, yes, this will resonate enough with our audience.
Really, I think is testament to the strength of the Persona 4 franchise. Again, it's a lot to do with the music and the characters, just being back with the characters themselves. You know, we were playing through Persona Q last November, and you get to that moment where the P3 cast meets up with the P4 cast, and if you don't smile at that moment, you're just not human. So really, it's kind of like the familiar friend. You know, you get to see this person, you're like, yeah, I get to see these people again. This is so awesome. And the funny thing too is, you know, Persona 4 was this bright, cheery high school game about serial murderers.
Sure.
And then, you know, you've got Ultimax where you've got something similar. But this story again is, while it has a very lighthearted appearance and we're playing a dancing game and everyone's like happy and dancing, there's still a very serious story at the center of all of this. So it'll be fun to see, I think, once people get to jump in and really dive into story mode.
I'm sure this question's been asked hundreds of times, but you could have picked any genre. Like, we've seen a fighting game, we've seen the dungeon crawler, although I guess you could technically call the core Persona series that also. You could pick any genre. Why dancing? What was it about the dance genre that really resonated with Atlus?
I honestly don't know. I think a lot of it probably had to do with the fact that the music is so popular. You know, we do the Persona Live concerts in Japan, and I mean, they sell out music halls all over the place. So there's all this music, and what are you going to do with, you know, a fan base that loves music? Give them a dancing game. Why not? A rhythm game.
That makes sense, yeah. So Persona 5 is the next game that is coming out after Dancing All Night. Does that mean sort of the end for now for Persona 4, or does that franchise still have some juice left in it?
I honestly, I have not been told, and I'm sure that those secrets are kept away under very strict lock and key back in our HQ in Japan. I hope to gosh that we haven't seen the last of the P4 cast because they are so beloved, but I think everyone's ready for some fresh faces.
Can we expect Persona 5 Dancing All Night? Is this now the routine for you guys?
I don't know. Again, there's a lot of questions about our spin-offs. Like, are we going to see a Persona 5 fighting game or a dancing game? I have no idea. I certainly hope so. I love it seeing games break out of their established genre. I think that's always fun to see. You know, the characters juxtaposed at a different situation, with be it fighting, dancing, clogging, what have you.
Clogging. Now that's something I could get
you're
into.
On fire.
John Harden, the PR manager for Atlus, thank you so much for joining us.
Guys, thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for watching at home. Stay tuned. We'll have lots of other E3 video coverage for you throughout the week.